Hey y'all, what's going on? Okay, so I just wanted to prepare you for what is about to go down. So you're going to actually get two podcasts. It's going to be part one, and then there's going to be the triple X rated part two version, like the parts we didn't really want to talk about in the first taping. So I just want to prepare you when you see the first episode or the first taping end. Stick around because right after you're going to get the triple X version. So we're talking about male child sex abuse, and guys, to be honest, I didn't really know like how deep our guest was willing to go. I didn't want to be uncomfortable. I didn't want to be embarrassed. You know, maybe it wasn't the best journalist technique, but that's how I was feeling. I didn't want to really ask him. But the camera ended, and I'm like, all right, now that the cameras are like ended, because that's my boy, like I know Greg. I was like, dude, what happened? He was like, why didn't you ask me on camera? And I was like, whoa. Oh, I could have. Oh, you was. So we want to pause. So I hit record, guys, and yeah, some of y'all may not be comfortable with the things that he discussed, and some of you may be. But I will say this: it was an amazing interview. I learned so much, and yeah, so there's two parts. Thanks for joining. See you soon. What's going on?
Greg just hit me to warn me that the video's about to start. This is what she does, Greg. You saw, thank you.
I got your back.
I appreciate you for doing that.
Wow.
Because she just clicks.
You really want to pick sides,
and
so
I'm
early
down. I'm still looking at my phone. She doesn't say 3, 2, 1. We're about to go. None of that. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that nudge. Thank you.
You're a politician.
Yes.
Perfected.
I could have kept flowing. I could have gone with the flow, but I just needed to pause right there and help you to understand why that happened.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. You wanted to bring him in the loop. You wanted to make sure.
I wanted to.
It was almost strategic. Like she did it on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Every show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm good. What can I say?
Yeah.
What's going on, y'all? It's your girl Jodie, host of My Life Royal All the Way Live and Podcast These Nuts. Hey. And to my right, well, not this right, but the far right is
Wendy.
How you doing?
How you doing, y'all?
Welcome to Podcast These Nuts, episode, bitch. We are
10.
on episode
10.
This is crazy.
10 weeks straight, okay?
Like,
we have been feeding y'all
for 10
weeks.
We
and you allowed us
to diets that long.
Yeah.
Or relationships.
Or Wait. Pause. You ain't finna get me caught up. But yeah. 10 weeks.
Yeah, 10 weeks. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
We appreciate you for supporting us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because a lot of our topics have been because of them.
Yeah, suggestions.
Yeah. Our guests have. Well, speaking of guests, we probably should introduce because it's been almost 10 minutes and I don't think we.
Hey, who is this?
Who's this guy? Who's that guy? No.
Guys?
Oh. We have in the building this bald-headed Haitian sensation.
Jean-Paul Pierre.
Jean-Baptiste.
Sorry.
Who we got in the building?
Hey, everybody. This is Gregoire.
Hey,
Jules.
Greg.
How you doing? Say Gregoire, though.
Gregoire.
Why
this nigga gotta be
Why these people have to have...
I'm bugging. It's Greg.
Okay.
It's Gregoire.
Okay, because the last guest was like, Gianfranco.
I remember that, Gianfranco.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, like, what is this?
Right. Like, why are you being difficult?
Greg, nigga. Greg, sorry. No, you're not a nigga. You're
Gregoire.
Yeah.
It's the Haitian way.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
But Greg is fine.
Say.
Not boule.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. Like, this is a very, very special show. And for me, what you're going to do tonight is, like, I told you how I felt about it earlier. I was like, nigga, I'm scared. I'm nervous. You're like, why?
Yeah.
You know, so for those of you that don't know, the topic of our show today is the male perspective on childhood sexual assault. And, you know, definitely with all these Me Too movements, you've seen a lot more women speak up. Hell, I spoke up on a show and discussed my sexual abuse. You know, so it's kind of the norm more so to kind of see women having those conversations. But what we're not seeing are the men that are also victims of childhood sexual assault. So you're going to see today, guys, on podcast 10 episode 10 of Podcast These Nuts.
Yeah.
So we're having a real conversation. Like, we are going in. We are peeling that onion. Okay?
Okay. Yes.
So, yeah, that's what's going to go on. But, yes.
So, thanks for being here, Greg.
Yeah, thanks
No, for sure. I mean, Jodie inspired me. So, I mean, after sharing her story, I was like,
He was really engaged in that episode.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad I inspired you, friend.
Nah, it was meaningful, you know, because it's a topic that not enough people have, or people are basically scared, or they walk around it thinking that they're going to be judged on something that happened to them when they were an innocent child.
Right.
So that's why I don't have an issue talking about it, because
it
doesn't challenge my manhood, because I was 8.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Right. You were in a position to make a decision like that, to make a choice like that.
Seriously,
you know?
it's crazy.
So, that's what we're talking about today, the male perspective.
I hope y'all ready.
So
Shit, I'm nervous.
It's about to be real deep.
Yeah.
About to be real deep.
Yeah.
So last week, episode 9, we talked about money versus integrity.
Cream.
Okay.
Dollar
Cash
bills,
rules
y'all.
everything around me. Would you do anything for the coin? So check that out if you missed episode 9. We talked about the Monique and Steve Harvey situation.
Yes. And
Our
you might be
opinions were
surprised.
very different.
You might be surprised.
So if you ain't watch it, go check that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You absolutely would love it. So don't forget to ask these nuts. Ask these nuts. You have questions.
Yes.
You want to figure out how to win your girl's heart back, or maybe you done fucked up. I don't know. Some crazy shit happened. You want to spill some tea. I don't know. Whatever. Ask these nuts. Right. Okay.
Or if you wanted us to talk about a particular topic, or maybe there's something juicy going on, you want to know what our opinion is on it. You know, like this whole Jussie Smollett thing, or what's the new thing now?
Chloe and Tristan. We're going to talk about that again. Yeah. We have another viewer who asked to come on.
Jordan.
Yeah. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on.
That was a crazy situation.
So ask these nuts. So don't forget. Don't forget. So our main topic. The male perspective.
Yes.
Childhood sexual assault.
You know, the funniest thing is, right? You know, every time the name of the podcast. I was like, these nuts old. These nuts old.
That's it.
I was in the bathroom, like, I think some of my best.
You were thinking about this in the bathroom?
Yeah. Some of my best thoughts, I was telling my girl, some of my best thoughts come about when I'm in the shower, or when you get up in the morning, you know, to do the business on the bathroom. Like, you really like have some real powerful or really impactful thoughts. And that was one of the things that came up, and I was like, man, the name of the podcast.
We made it to the bathroom, y'all.
Yeah, bathrooms are great.
We made it to the bathroom, y'all.
Really, like, I think I was rehearsing some talking points.
Yeah.
And my lady was like, who are you speaking to? I was like,
oh, wow.
Actually, it was for these nuts. I was like, these nuts, yikes. But, you know, it is what it is.
He wasn't being offensive.
No, I wasn't.
You know, we're funny.
You
know, we're nutty. Like that.
Like squirrels, nuts.
You know, whatever.
And
you know,
it's actually something that we say to each other.
And it's
very
like,
often.
these nuts all the time. So it could be like, oh, that doesn't correlate. Correlate like these nuts. You know?
Like, that's part of our
just
dialogue.
how we
It
talk.
is. No, seriously, that's how we talk.
I know.
So we wanted a podcast.
I know.
And I think we actually had a conversation where I said to her, man, you always be talking about a podcast. Podcast these nuts. And then it's like, wait.
There it is.
I like that.
He spoke that into existence.
Yeah, we did.
Perfect.
That's
that's us. So the topic, you are on podcast These Nuts. Thank you for being here, Greg. Welcome. Welcome to the show.
Yes.
But seriously, you're here to talk about a really serious subject. As Jodie mentioned before, something that's not talked about a lot, especially with men.
Especially with black men.
And we know just recently, Leaving Neverland came out, that aired on HBO, of the Michael Jackson documentary. So at least 1 in 6 men have been sexually abused or assaulted. Right?
That's crazy.
So we had these two who just came out recently and said that they were sexually assaulted by Michael Jackson, although they previously stated they weren't.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
But now they're here, they're talking. Some people believe them. Some people are saying they're doing it for money. They didn't get paid for this show.
Right.
However, this could be the setup, the lead into a book deal, other shows coming on getting paid. You know, that whole run.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Publicity's
saying?
a big thing.
Publicity, that's how they make money. Supposedly, that could be one of the reasons why they're doing this, because they're saying that, they need some cash. Now,
but
I was having a discussion.
But on the flip side,
go ahead.
One other thing that they were saying, what they were saying is no, they just were at a place where they were now fathers themselves, and they wanted to just be able to move on. Like, they didn't want to carry over those or harbor over those feelings and those thoughts and those emotions and those fears. They didn't want to infect their children with that.
Right. And I said, on the flip side, it really could be that, at that time they weren't ready to come forward, but I was talking to the DOD about it, and I was like, what we're going to be talking about tonight on this particular show is about men, and men have a really hard time coming out about sexual assault. Think about women, their struggle, but men, they're judged heavily. So it's really hard to come out because your manhood is tested. People are saying, wow, you let this happen to you. You didn't fight back. You're supposed to be masculine, but you're a kid.
And like you said, you were 8 years old.
Right. So I was like, well, what if that was their situation? And at that time, they really couldn't come out and say anything, So I mean, it's so hard, but I just still do believe, Michael Jackson, it's not a two-sided story. You're only getting one side. You didn't hear anything. Like, I mean,
from him or his family.
I didn't watch it personally, but from his family, he's gone. I mean, what are we doing right now?
Let me say this. First of all,
is this healing, I guess?
I am. Yeah, it is. It's healing. About this whole situation, when I didn't watch it, but I read very detailed moments, right? And what stood out for me is just some of the emotions and the feelings that they were being expressed. They were genuine. I connected with them, and I just felt like, as somebody that's been abused myself, like, I get it. You protect your abuser, especially if you're with that person for a long period of time. It's a relationship. He wasn't, and Oprah said this, she says, what you guys have to understand is that abusers come in all shapes or forms.
Absolutely.
They're not always the ones that are going to hold you down and choke you and rape you aggressively. They're going to manipulate the hell out of you. And he said Michael Jackson was very manipulative. He said he cried all the time. He made them believe that they were his savior. So it was like a guilt trip, on top of the fact that he bought their parents' homes and everything. So, that's one of the things I really appreciated about what she brought to light, Oprah, in the interview, is the type of abuser that Michael is. And I don't know, it just made me feel like this shit might be real. And then I said to myself, you know what, Jodie? I think what a lot of us did back in the day when Michael was going through this is what this now generation is doing for R. Kelly. I was like, damn, because for the longest, I believed Michael. But now that I'm facing
that, and they've done investigations, and there was nothing found, whereas R. Kelly has a video. He's on record. He's recorded.
Because it's a different era. It's a different era. It's a different era. I think when Michael Jackson was doing what he was doing, people didn't even have cell phones, really. You know what I mean? To capture the
he was recording. He was recording movies. Like R. Kelly recorded shit. Like, cause that's what he liked to do. He had access to it, so it's easy for those people to record whatever, whenever. But it made me really wonder. What did you think about it, Greg? Or did you have any thoughts on it?
I haven't watched it, but growing up late '80s, it was conversation. I mean, from like Macaulay Culkin and all sorts of people. Accusations were left and right. So it's one of those things where you're almost biased. You're like, man, all these accusations, and then these people said he did it, and now he didn't do it. So it's, for me, it's tough because I have children. So to put my children in that situation, predicament where, hey, I'm going to allow you to go. I mean, it's different. Me personally, I wouldn't have done it. My kids aren't going to go stay with, just because you're a celebrity. You're not going to go and stay in the, what is it, Neverland Ranch?
Neverland.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I also question one of these mothers
never ever
who said something about Michael Jackson wanting the child to stay with him for a year. Now, and I question. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I saw that part of it, and I questioned, did she let her child return after she claimed he said something like, I want your child to come live with me? Do you allow your child to return after that?
Wow.
Then you have to ask yourself, if you do, what kind of parent are you? For the coin? Is that what we're doing?
It's exactly what they're doing.
What's crazy about this whole thing?
What?
It's the parallels are crazy. Like part of my story, it's insane. So once we get to that,
so let's get into it. So you came here after watching or asked to be a part of the show and share your perspective after watching and being a part of episode 6. That's where Jodie shared her story about her abuse, of course, which is really brave of her to speak on and talk about. We also recently around that time went to an event about victims of sexual abuse, so it was really great for her to share, and I'm sure she helped other people. We talked not only about her story, but how victims can get help for themselves. So we talked about the National Sexual Assault Hotline. So there's a hotline out there for people who need help, 800-656-HOPE, 4673. So if you're someone who's in need and you need support, you need some help, there's a hotline available. So we talked about how to get help. We also talked about how to heal. So try to have a well-rounded discussion on sexual abuse from, it coming from someone personally,
And everybody has their own journey. I think it's important to emphasize that. That's, if there's nothing else, you have to keep in mind everybody has their own journey of what their healing looks like. But you have to tap in and figure out what that means for you. So if I'm telling you that this is what I'm doing and that's what works for me, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. But you shouldn't give up, and you shouldn't stop trying to allow yourself to heal.
So Greg, welcome. So what inspired you to tell your story?
As we said before, I think it was when Jodie shared her story. I was pressed, and I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, I've spoken to people and friends or whoever's going through things, because I have, friends who may have said, hey, this experience shaped my life. And I constantly go back and be like, hey, that's true, but it is a choice. So because I've shared it with other people and I've seen that it's helped them, and then when Jodie came out and shared her story, talking about on a podcast that can go viral, and I was like, if she was brave enough to do it, then absolutely, I want to share as well, because again, I think a lot of men, like you guys said before, a lot of men are afraid to talk about it because they think it's going to test their manhood, or it's going to bring up questions about your sexuality, and that's not it. When you're talking about when a child is oppressed and forced into something, what do you do? So
what happened?
So my story, it goes back, and as it talked about the parallels, when we first came into this country, and anything I'm about to say, it's not to blame family members or anything like that. It's more so to say that I think it's important, and this makes sense after, it's important to keep families intact. Regardless how much you have to struggle, it's important to, hey, let's struggle together, let's keep that family intact. So what ended up happening was, when we came into the States, mom's immigrant, 3 children. I think she was basically living with a friend of the family with my brother and sister. So at that point, there wasn't room for everybody. So my aunt offered, she was like, hey, one of my great friends, she'll raise Greg until you're established, until, you can take him back over. Similar to like that whole Michael Jackson situation, right? So I think I was 7, 8, somewhere there. I went to live with this lady, and later found out this lady was a huge drug dealer, just like in the mid 80s. So before, we talked about TSA, running coke back and forth to New York. So that was her life. So now when she would leave and go to New York, it was insane. I was trying to pull up her record to bring up the information just to show that this is credential, but I didn't remember her name, and I didn't feel like asking. I have her name, but I didn't know the right spelling and the date of birth and stuff like that. To pull up the Miami-Dade. And this was back in Miami. So when she would leave me in the house with, she had 2 older children, but she would leave me in the house for a neighbor to watch us. So the two of the children, they were, 18, 19, so they were able to go about and do their own thing.
Right.
But I had to stay in the house with this guy. I don't know who the guy was or what it was. And I don't even know how it started. I really don't. I don't know what led to that. But I just know that one day this man was basically forcing himself on me and then took advantage, and that was that. And it turned from one day to any time she basically would leave and go out of town. So it was like, damn, I got to be home and I got to do this. And, the hard part of that all is that, when you are in that situation, when you're being abused, you almost feel like you're being choked because you can't say, hey, let me go and tell my mom.
Right.
Because 7-year-old guy would, hey, mom, no, that's not it. You're scared because you don't know what this person's going to do.
Right.
And then you're almost being held ransom at this person's house because, like, beyond the sexual abuse, there was like physical abuse from the lady I was living with.
Oh, wow.
So it was like twofold. So whenever my mom would call, it was like, yo, if you tell your mom what's going on, I'm going to, kick that ass. So it was like, shit.
Because you would have to sit there and wait.
You have to sit there and wait. And it wasn't like my mom's had a car and she can come back and come get me. It was like, okay, we'll communicate through the phone. My mom trusted that I was in good hands. And honestly, I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, my mom's put me there for this to happen. Right. She took the words of my aunt and basically put me there to help, get her established.
Right.
And granted, when my mom was, when her footing was grounded, it was almost like a kidnapping. It was like, we got to go get him. And that was it.
Right.
And this lady would tell me like, yo, if your mom came and got you, you need to walk to a payphone and come and get me and call me. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that.
What?
Because that's what she ingrained.
She manipulated you.
When you talk about being beaten to like, we talk about beating, like not belts, punch, sticks, whatever it was. These were the types of things that was ingrained. It's like, yo, if I open my mouth and say something, then this is what I'm going to have to, this is going to be the repercussion. And who's going to save me?
Right.
But did you see your mother at some point?
I mean, periodically I did. Like I can't, and this is going to sound crazy, right? A lot of that portion of my life, the way I dealt with it was almost like erasing those memories. And it sounds crazy, but because
you had just wanted to put
it was like such a dark time.
Right.
Like it was really.
How long was this going on?
Like 2 years.
Oh wow.
I think it was about 2 years because when I moved because we moved to Lauderdale after that, then I started the 4th grade. So yeah, 4th grade. Wow. So I don't know the age at that point, but yeah, I think it was 2 years. I think it was about 2 years in Miami.
So have you sought professional help since?
Well, what's crazy is initially, I saw a lot of my ways being played out through high school. Mm-hmm. So because of what happened to me, because of my childhood being taken, my manhood being taken at that early age, I was like, okay, I need to basically prove that I'm a man's man. So I need to be with as many women that I could possibly be with, because like I didn't want in my mind like, oh man, I'm gay now. I'm gay because this man raped me as a child. Right. So promiscuity was just crazy. So, and that's the thing, it was a trickle down effect. It wasn't just like, okay, yep, this happened, you were sexually assaulted, then you moved on, it didn't impact anything else.
Right.
Hell to the no.
Wow.
It impacted the way I was with women. Right. I felt that I had to be with several women. I had to have all the women because I had to prove to myself that I was a man. And for me, it hardened my relationship with, fast forward to my daughters, because it made me like, okay, I have to be extra hard. I can't be this emotional father. But, to answer your question, I did. It was until recently, I'm 41, right? It was until recently I had a situation with my daughter and doing counseling. We sat down and with his words, it was like, oh, okay, I need to soften up. I need to do this. I need to do that. I mean, I always try to protect my kids and be what I didn't have, and be the father that I didn't have, be that influence. But counseling really helped, because then it showed me that, hey, you know what? It's okay to be soft. It's okay to be passionate. It's okay to hold your kids and cry with them. It's okay to, just
because you were so afraid of any type of behavior that mimicked even a little bit of feminism.
Absolutely.
Because of the fact that to you, it made you in your mind
Which is why a lot of men are afraid to come forward. You know, that's why a lot of men are afraid.
That's crazy.
At what point when did you feel comfortable telling your mother?
Yeah. Have you ever told your
mother? I think my mother just found out now. You know, because it was just one of those things where, you know, I mean, if she watches this, I mean, you know, I'm going to definitely share it with all my friends. But it's just one of those things where I think whenever the conversation or dialogue is had, it's like she feels, and I can't speak for her, but I think she feels that I'm blaming her. And that's not the case. Like, I'm not blaming you. Like,
it's the guilt.
It's guilt.
When we went to the sexual assault event that we went to, there was a woman, happened to just be that she is Haitian. Her husband, she just newly got married, and her husband started abusing her daughter. And she said, you know, of course I didn't set this up to be this way. Of course I wouldn't be around him if I thought that he was an abuser. But she's like, I feel terrible. And she said that they went to counseling, and she's like, you know, that's shunned upon and hated. Like, no one really wants to hear what she has to say. She said they went to counseling, but she still cannot get rid of the guilt. And it's hard. So that, you know, that's possibly what your mother would be going through to hear something like that, because she thought she was a safe environment.
She did.
You know, she thought she was doing her very best. She came up here, she's hustling, she's trying to do her thing.
Absolutely.
She went with someone she trusted, but then at the same time, now to hear all of this happen, it's just like, how did I?
And it's not, and it's one of those things, and you said it, because we've tried to have this conversation, and I think it's more so, you know, she feels so bad about it that she doesn't want to hear about it. You know, but I'm not ashamed of it. I'm like, listen, man, because of everything that's happened to me and the absentee and fatherhood and everything else, it's helped forge the man that I am today. You know, because it's like I need to fill in that void, because there was a lot of void. I mean, if I didn't get the counseling that we got recently, I think it would have just continued been, you know, just an uphill battle. It would have been insane. You know,
which is why healing is important.
It's,
you know, speaking about it, talking to somebody, you know, letting it out is important.
And
but
also,
of course,
too,
you know,
you take
everybody
back your control. You know, the fact that you've told yourself, you know what, I'm not gonna let you continue to force me to be a victim anymore.
Absolutely.
I'm going to own this experience as something that was vital in making the man that I am today. So thank you. And I think once you reach that place where you can actually say thank you to your abuser, that's when you've arrived.
Absolutely.
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 You know?
No, those are facts.
And to be able to get to that point has to be, you know, a lot of heartache, you know, a lot of soul searching, sacrifice, you know, just committing to being a better person and not letting it ruin your life. Like, I'm sure it took a lot out of you.
It did.
It's big to be able to come to a point where you say, you know what, this is my life. This is who I am.
And the key is, like, we didn't ask for this. You know, it's not like was like, hey, listen, here I am coming. No, that's not what it was. And I think that's the misconception with a lot of men, and that's why it's like a big taboo. It's like, okay, we're not going to talk about it. We're just hard. That's nonsense. Like, you know, if you don't express, I mean, to somebody, maybe to a counselor or something, talk about what's happening. And I think that's the problem within our communities. We're afraid to go to somebody else to seek guidance and assistance. We don't have all the answers. You know, we don't have all the answers. I may think I have all the answers, but I realize that now that all of my actions were as a result of that. You know, because I'm like, damn, why was I a whore? You know? Why was I promiscuous? Why did I want to be with all these women? And it's like you have to sit back and really ask yourself these tough questions. And it goes back to that dark place where it started. And it started off there because I was trying to basically cope with something, and that was my coping mechanism.
You know? And you have to heal yourself from that to move on.
Absolutely.
And when you push from that, I think when you push from that and you allow yourself to turn something so negative into motivation, you know, whatever you create from that motivation is epic, which leads me to what you kind of do now, your photography. I remember seeing you on social media with your first little camera. Like you were, was it the Bahamas?
It was Dominican Republic.
Some trip.
Yeah, little small camera.
Little small camera. And I'm like, look at this.
And then when he would buy another camera, he talks about the new camera that he bought. And you know, he just continues to climb and elevate.
And we took cameras on trips. Camera was on the bed. It was bathed.
We follow you. We follow you.
Yeah. Some real
we see
shit.
your growth.
You know,
we see the growth.
So, and then now for you to, you know, have shot somebody as big as
I mean, Flo Rida recently.
Yeah,
like,
it's amazing. It's
traveled the world.
Yeah.
Just
You
don't forget the little people.
All over the place.
Never.
Don't forget the little people, okay? Because we knew you before when you had a little Nikon Cool Pen 8.2 something.
We knew you when you had the camera phone,
Okay.
Before you had
the
camera phone.
Okay. When you were just trying to do the whole let's be fit. I found his old business card.
His boot camp.
And you know that's crazy, right? So the name of the podcast is These Nuts, right? And the name of my personal fitness training company was Suck and Blow.
Hello.
It was a breathing technique, okay?
Period.
Suck in, blow out. Suck and blow.
Suck and blow.
Well, you suck and swallow.
So let me tell you, when he would do classes at the
my kids might be watching this, Wendy.
Sorry.
They know your dad.
I mean,
they know their dad.
Sorry, kids. Yeah,
So first of all, the classes that we would do, like we would meet up at these bleachers or amusement, whatever, gymnasium, track and fields.
Yes.
All women.
What?
See, that was part of the issue. But you know what? What's crazy, right?
What was part of the issue?
Listen, this is what's
crazy. The
crazy.
only guys he had were the niggas that was like his boys. There was no like new applicants that were men.
You know what's crazy though? Like I recall when I had like a group of like 80 clients, and they were all women.
All women, I know.
But it goes back to what I said. You know, this was part of the makeup.
Yeah.
Because even with some of my friends, like this is deep, really, because and this is discovery now. It just popped up to me. I tried not to connect with men.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah. In my adulthood is when I started forging real friendships with men. With my boy Stan.
Yeah.
You know, another photographer friend of mine, Tony. It's in my adulthood. So I can say now, honestly, like when we talk about, and I look at some of my friends that I went to school with, and I'm almost envious of like, damn, you know, like they have these great friendships and they've been friends since high school.
Yeah.
Like I've tried not to.
Wow.
Because of what happened. So I tried not to connect with any man on any level, like, yo, I can't be cool with you and let you in. So it was more, I was friends with a lot of women. A whole lot of women. Like I had, them. Yeah, sadly. Well, yeah. And I have apologized to all the women that I've loved before that I've hurt. You know, we've had deep conversations on the couch, and I've apologized. I am in good standings with every single woman that I've dealt with the exception of one. And Madeline, if you're watching, I'm sorry.
Wow. And she gets an apology.
Yeah, I am, because you know, this was high school, and
I here on podcast.
I'm sorry. Like I was, excuse my French, but I was a fucked up high schooler. Like I did you so wrong. But I did that because of what I was going through. Like and I didn't know.
That was a moment.
I didn't know.
That was a moment.
Yeah.
That was a moment.
She's changed her name to Modeling now. So
Modeling.
Yes. Young Haitian girl. So I do apologize sincerely. Yeah.
But it's
I didn't know better. Yeah. You know.
Well, I would like to apologize to.
Don't do it. Just say sorry.
Let's keep going, guys. Sorry. So let's talk about
the world.
Let's move on. So as we talked about, you know, the abuse, everything that you've gone through, the healing process, getting to this point where we were able to have this conversation and
we're laughing.
Joy.
Yeah, we're laughing about it. I mean,
see what happens when you take the time to understand what's going on with you and heal. Like it's so important that people out there get help. Yeah. And then there's organizations that specifically look out for men. One of them being 1in6.org. That's the number one. And the number 6.org. Their mission is to help men who have had unwanted or abusive sexual experiences live healthier, happier lives. That's from their website.
Yeah.
So you know, if there's
And it's a nice mix. When I say nice mix, like one of the reasons a lot of people don't go to therapy is because a lot of therapists are culturally incompetent. Yeah. And one of the awesome things about this organization, what I love, is there were black men, there were white men, there were Asian men. It was a nice rainbow, and I think that's important.
It's
you know
what
I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you want to go into a room and see another brother because you and him have your own shit as a culture, as a people.
Yeah. That was one of the determining factors for the therapist I used.
Yeah.
So he was, black Haitian man, and that helped because again he understood the culture. Wow. He understood the dynamics and how I grew up, how I was raised. Right. So he was able to connect to that, and he was able to give guidance on how I should proceed and deal with, my own issues, and then deal with my daughter. You know, so
that's a really great point. It's really important to be able to connect with someone who can relate to you culturally, because it really does make a big difference in how they listen and how they understand your issue and what you've gone through, and how to give you help, give you advice to move forward. So that is very important. Have you shared this with your children? Do they know?
I have. I've shared it with my kids. Yeah, it's because my thing is because, like there's a family member that's experienced something like that from their father, and I'm not going to say that it's an excuse, but their reasoning for what they're going through now is based around what happened to them as a child, and I.
So they were sexually abused by.
They were sexually abused by I think it was stepfather. It was I think it was stepfather. It was stepfather. It was a mother's husband. But the important thing for me was that you can't give power to that person and to have that power over your life for the entire life. Like we just talked about, you have to heal. Yeah. And the issue was she never took the steps or basically accountability for my actions. Like you can't say, okay, because this happened and now I'm going to go out there and live this crazy life and I'm going to keep defaulting back to what happened to me. Right. I mean, yes, it's part of your makeup, absolutely, but it's critical for you to take charge of your life and make your own path. Yeah. Exactly. So it's not about what you can't take the circumstance and then say, okay, I'm going to be held down forever because of that. Right. So I've spoken to my girls about it, and my partner, she knows about it as well. So it's just one of those things, like it's not a secret. I think anyone that I've ever talked to would know I've shared it only because a lot of my traits is as a result of that. A lot of times I become reclusive. I want to just be by myself, and I just want to just be in my own space, and that's only because of what's happened. And
you don't want them to take it personal.
I don't want them to take it personal because that's my safe space, and that's like my time to just okay, I don't want to be bothered.
And we talked about that on the episode, is that it is important to share with your partner so that they understand. If there's things that are going on, if you're feeling different, feeling a way, you may not want to be touched. Yeah. There's so many different things that
sexually,
could be going on. You may not want to be touched, and they need to understand why, and be able to deal with it. It could be hard for some people. It could be hard for some people to deal with, because I can imagine it could be a lot.
And I want to go back to something that you said, because I think it's important for people to know that, some people might be offended by the fact that Greg and I are sitting here and saying that we were abused and we're laughing. No, what you're seeing, ladies and gentlemen, is what it looks like when two people have dedicated themselves to truly healing. And coming from out of this. And not letting it continue to hold us back and make us feel guilty.
Absolutely.
And impact our relationships, impact how we treat people. We are free.
This is where you want to get to.
To be free. And this is where you're going to be. You're going to be in a place where you can laugh.
Right. Yeah. And then you can talk on the internet. The internet, right? Like the world will see this. Yeah. So, I don't want, some friends will see this that don't know, that, have no clue. But I don't care about that. Like, if you're going to judge me based on what's happened to when I was a child.
We weren't friends anymore.
We weren't friends, and it's okay. Bye. I have no issues detaching.
Right.
People know that. Cool. Bye.
Now I know.
Yeah. So it's not about that. Like Jodie said, it's healing. Like I am able and comfortable to do this because I am over it. I'm over myself. I was my own barricade for many years. I stopped myself from basically wanting to heal because I kept using it as a clutch. This is the reason why I'm going to be angry. I'm mad because this happened. Right. Or I'm upset because this happened. This is where this anger comes from. Right. Be accountable. I want to be a better person. Right. I want to be a better father.
I want to be happy.
Yeah, I want to be happy. Yeah. So
Want to be free.
Yeah.
Want to be
Freedom. Absolutely.
Yeah, it has to be.
High five
huge
to
weight
us.
off.
Absolutely.
Yes, you're dope. You're dope. You're amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
We really appreciate you being here,
Yeah.
sharing your story.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
for sure.
so
For
proud
sure.
of you.
to expose this to a lot of people who are so close to you for the first time here is
Facts.
big. So we really
Yeah.
appreciate you
Yeah.
coming, and I can't imagine how. And for both of you
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
have shared stories like this and have had this happen to you in your past, but more than anything, the great thing is that you guys are where you are. You can share, you could talk about it, you can help other people,
For sure.
and most importantly, you're free from it. So
Yeah.
I'm happy for both of you.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming,
Thank you for
Greg.
coming.
And
This
guys,
is
thanks for
awesome,
tuning
awesome.
in to episode 10.
Really quickly,
Yes.
we can't end this episode and not let people know what's going on April 20th.
Yeah.
That's a big date. 420.
Hey.
So on April
I'm gonna learn how to twerk, guys.
20th,
You don't know how to twerk
we
No.
are
I just
throwing
shake my wine, but I don't really
a
like twerk. I
trap
like how they do it on the videos.
brunch party, y'all. Let me repeat myself. On April 20th, 420, 420,
Okay.
we are
420,
throwing a trap brunch party, y'all. When I tell you it's about to be lit.
Literally.
How Cardi B does it. So listen, make sure you guys go to our website and check it out. It's all over our page right now, so you can't miss the link. Get
Right.
your tickets for the all-inclusive. So the brunch comes with all you can eat brunch,
Endless
amazing cooked
mimosas.
by Hello Isis.
Mimosas.
All you can eat mimosas and 2 free drink tickets. And right now it's just $40.
Right.
That's
$40.
That's
That's
it.
cheap.
And then come Saturday morning, midnight, it goes to $50, which is still a really good
cheap.
price for all that you're
Right.
getting.
Yeah.
And you get to party with the girls.
Hey.
We're gonna be there for sure.
Amazing
It's
chef.
gonna be great energy, amazing
Yes.
food, dope ass music,
Yep.
fly ass venue. Like,
Yep.
make sure y'all go to the website and check it
Check
out.
it out.
Trap Brunch Party. Make sure y'all go check it out. Presented to you by the TV Takeover.
Hello.
Listen, y'all, don't forget to tune in every single Thursday.
8:30 p.m.
8:30 p.m.
Yes.
Right here where you're watching us right now. We're on YouTube. We are on Facebook. We are on SoundCloud.
Google
Hey,
Podcasts.
We're everywhere,
We
guys.
Yeah, we can
We're
extend it to
Yes.
on Instagram TV, right?
Oh, yeah.
Instagram TV.
That
Yes.
too. That
There,
too.
there you go.
Instagram
all of it.
TV. I'll be sharing it
Thank
so
you.
all my photographer friends can see it.
Yay.
Guys, thank you so much for
Thank
tuning
you for
in.
watching.
Podcast These Nuts. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so this is clearly going to be an edited part, but when I was talking with Greg and when we did the interview, I don't know if he really wanted to like go into detail.
And I said yes to everything.
I know, but I don't know, Greg. I just, for some reason, I was just really. Hold on, because I know I did something here with the audio. Okay, so for some reason, I really thought that would have been pushing it too far. Like, so let me just be clear. Like, I've known Greg a long time. So this is not just a guest on the show. This is my brother.
I had hair. I'm bald now.
This is my brother. So I have a lot. Well, he's not my brother, but you get it.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of love for him and I have a lot of respect for him. And I didn't want to put him in an uncomfortable situation. And we did a show. We finished a couple minutes ago. And I was like, I didn't want to ask you on camera, but do you want to talk about it? He was like, well, why didn't you ask me on camera? I was like, whoa.
It's stupid. That's the Haitian way of saying
So
stupid.
I said, okay, well, I'm clearly going to have some work to do tonight with editing because there's no way that I can have this conversation with you and not have it recorded. So you mentioned before that you were sexually molested by a man he was responsible to take care of you.
Yeah. Well, it's like a babysitter.
Babysitter.
Yeah.
How old were you
I think between 7 and 8.
and how old was he?
He was older than her children who were 17 and 18.
Okay.
So he was in his 20s, I think, maybe.
Okay, so he was a young man.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was a grown person. Okay.
It's a grown-ass man. He was
Grown
over
ass
21,
man.
yeah.
Over 21. Okay, so walk me through the first time it happened. How did he groom you? Or did he just...
I wouldn't even say it was more so grooming. It was more so... and like I told you guys earlier, like it's parts of this that I've like blanked out of my mind because I'm like, yo, I don't want to think about it or want to basically deal with it.
Right.
So I recall basically him penetrating me, and I'm like,
whoa.
Yeah, I mean, take advantage of my butt.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he penetrated you.
I mean, this is what sexual molestation is.
I mean, no, I don't know. I don't know if it's forcing you to just have oral sex.
No, I mean, that's one of the things that I can always never talk about.
On you.
No, there was never that. I just remember, being held down, and this is what was basically happening, and this is at age 7 and 8. So it's 2
years.
For 2 years, yeah, for 2 years,
So the first time that it happened, right? Physically, that is traumatic on your body. Do you remember what did you do after he was done? Right, this is the first time. Do you remember like where your head was, how your body was feeling? What did you do? Did you act like it didn't happen?
I think it was more so shame. I think that's the biggest thing, was shame, because it's like, what do you do? Like this man who was supposed to be basically protecting you, taking care of you, is now taking advantage of you. So it's like, okay, well, what do you do now? So, it wasn't more so like, okay, let me go, like the TV shows will show, let me go jump in the shower and hold myself and clean up. It was like, shit, I was bleeding. Like this is raw. Like, yo, you just raped this little 7-year-old kid, and so it was just one of those. It wasn't even more so me going in. It was more so him afraid of like, okay, what's going to happen? You need to go take the shower, so you need to go wash yourself off. So, and again, I think that's the part of it, like my bonus daughter and my girl had a conversation recently, and the conversation was around, like, this is way off subject, but it was around Tampax and tampons. Mm-hmm. And basically like how the tampon commercials would basically, instead of showing like red on the tampon, they'll show like a blue liquid.
Right.
No woman bleeds blue.
Right.
So it's just the same thing. It's like, a lot of people don't talk about this happening, so men don't want to talk about it, or men are afraid to speak about it, but this is what happened to me. I didn't go as a 7-year-old be like, hey, listen, I like you, I want you to penetrate me.
Right.
No.
Right.
It was like, yo, okay, well, you're here, no one's here, I'm going to take advantage of you and rape you. So
there was no warm up. He didn't manipulate you. It was physical.
It was
immediate.
physical.
Just
physical, yeah. It was like no
grooming process.
No.
This is just what it was. You have to take it.
This is my humor to it. It was like an Oz moment, Like, wow. Hey, and those who are my age will understand what Oz was. It was one of those moments.
Yeah.
So.
Damn, Greg.
Crazy.
Damn, Greg.
It's fucked up.
For 2 years, my nigga.
2 years.
And you said you feel like because of that, something that kind of stood out for me when we did our recording. You said because of that, you avoided having any type of relationship with men. Period.
Absolutely.
You never had male friends.
I had surface level friendships. Like I've had, maybe I can count on probably like really two good friends in high school.
Yeah.
I got my boy. And after high school, like we didn't really communicate. And then I actually had 3. I remember in middle school, I had a friend, Keith Crumbs, really good dude. And then my, I guess you consider him a cousin because my uncle was married to his aunt, Dwayne. We were good friends. And then in high school, I had my boy Justin, so, and I'm 41,
right?
And I'm talking about 3 relationships with like different men because
you avoided it.
It's like I'm like, yo, like this traumatic experience has happened.
That was your trigger.
Like what do you do?
Men
Like
had become your trigger.
It was an issue. I avoided it by all means. Like I don't want to have a relationship with you. I don't want to talk with you because again, it was one of those things where this is my way of dealing with it. I need to shut it all out.
Right.
So in order for me to feel more manly or more like a man, I need to basically be around women and basically just, it has to be about sex and it has to be about all these different things.
Right.
And that's what as a child or as a, you know, young teenage boy, I thought what was the masculine thing. Right. And I wanted to like exude that because of what happened as you know, a kid.
It makes sense. And you know what, when I think about that and you think about some of these men out here that are, as we call, dogs and whores, a lot of these men probably
go through it, yeah. And I'm not saying it's happened to them, but what I'm saying is,
but it's a very strong.
It's a very strong possibility, and people are afraid to talk about it.
And we're misdiagnosing these men instead of saying, you know what, there's a possibility that this man was abused and doesn't understand what it means to have a healthy relationship. So these are why he's having these behaviors. So instead of us saying that, we're just automatically saying, man, you're just a dog. All men are dogs. And it's not it. Maybe there's just a lot more hurt, sexually abused men out there than we care to. Admit.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's you know, let me make this point very clear. I'm not saying that what I did was right, and I'm not saying what I did was justified. What I'm saying is basically as a result of my way of trying to deal with my situation and my way of trying to heal, I felt that it was to be overly masculine.
Yeah.
You know, I felt that I had to be with a whole bunch of women to basically mask or say, hey, I'm not going to be labeled as like this gay guy because of what happened to me.
Right.
And, you know, it wasn't about anything about being homophobic, but it was more so about being, you know, molested and raped as a child.
Right.
And now, you know, how do you deal with that?
Right.
You know, this is where that self-diagnosis, I mean, it's rubbish.
Have you ever, as an adult, one day found yourself questioning your sexuality?
I think I've never wanted to. No, I don't ever recall myself question it. What I think I did is like what I've been talking about was like, okay, I need to always just have a whole, like you said with the layers with onions.
Yeah.
I need to pack it on. And layers with basically was just, you know, women. You know, that was it. And it was a part of my life that I hated.
Right.
You know? I mean, I still hate it till this day, but it was a part of my life that I despise. And I think the way to deal with that hate was to like, you know, do something way extreme.
Yeah.
You know, and that was my point.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you for coming back and asking.
I know. I didn't know. I just, you know, you're my buddy.
It is, but you know, my thing is like,
know how much you really wanted to.
Yeah, but as I said, you know, I told Wendy, I was like, yo, like I don't care. Like there's nothing that someone
say that, Greg.
Yeah, people say that, but not Greg. You know, I don't care.
Yeah.
Basically, like if someone is going to look at what happened to me when I was 7 and be like, oh yeah, this
nigga, you
know, nigga, you get.
Yeah, that's real dumb. That's real stupid. Yeah.
You know, it's stupid. You know, it's just one of those things where like that's dumb.
Yeah.
You know, like so you're basically telling me that you're into pedophile and you like kids being molested. Like you can't make the correlation. I mean, that's just not what it is. It's like, yo, this is something that happened to an innocent child.
Right.
You know, who basically wasn't looking for it or looking for it, and then you know, so it is what it is.
Well, thank you.
I'm at the point where it's like, yo, this doesn't bother me, so I can talk about it all day in front of.
You're confident, like you're cool.
You're
on the other side of this, like we talked about in the recording, which you guys better make sure you watch. But we are on the other side of this. We still have our moments. I know I do. You're probably more far gone than me because I'm still healing. Like I just kind of. But yeah, this was good. Thank you so much for coming back and talking to me and, you know, really giving it to me raw, real, and all the way live.
I was like, why didn't you ask?
I know. No, that's my bad. It's my bad. I fixed it though.
You did.